Dune marked a new era of sci-fi movies done with surgical finesse. From acting to direction, costumes, music, and sticking to the source material, discipline and determination are visible in all 2.5 hours. But what stood out to me were the magnificently choreographed combat scenes. Before Dune was released, the New York Times posted a short teaser of two of the main characters sparring in a sword training session. Timothée Chalamet, who plays Paul Atreides, is seen taking combat lessons with Josh Brolin, and the two look really good. But there's a reason for that. The fighting style Atreides uses is specifically choreographed by Roger Ewan, developed under the inspiration of Ball and Tawak Eskrima. This martial art from the 50s focuses on blocking strikes from an opponent using your own weapon and your hand, something we see Chalamet practicing extensively. The charismatic Timothy brings to the screen how seriously he took the role, is why he was Denis Villeneuve's first and only choice to play Paul. Chalamet had to train for months in the Filipino-inspired style Roger used for the movie, and adapt himself to the complex fight choreography Dune demanded. The star admits he managed to get out of the entire project with only a couple of instances where he nicked Josh Brolin in the crotch. Ouch. Of course, there's more than one person that goes into designing complex fight scenes on another planet, and Dune enjoyed Benjamin Millepied's help in that regard. But where he's shone was the special sandwalk developed for the project. For fans of the original book, special attention is given to the special walk outsiders have to avoid the sandworms on the planet of Arrakis. The books describe it as a randomized pattern of walking, a step, slide, step, pause, slide situation. Basically, the gigantic bloodthirsty monsters under the sand can sense any disturbance on the surface as long as it has a rhythm, something Paul and his mother had to learn the hard way. But it wasn't so easy for Timothy to learn either, due to the difficulty of visualizing a random pattern of walking. The end result was called the Dance Through the Desert, a name worthy of Black Swan choreographer Benjamin's visualization of the walk. Chalamet said it was one of the most memorable things for him. And even though he got it down well in advance, the sandwalking scenes held special meaning for him. It's a small scene in part 1, but the actors didn't have to emulate the exhaustion their characters were feeling. Doing the scene over and over was akin to actually spacewalking. Scenes like this are what make Dune special. It would have been easy to alter the writing slightly and make it easier, but they stuck to the book, just like the recreation of Baron Harkonnen. In the world of the Dune franchise, the antagonist is perhaps the most important to get right. Just like Immortal Joe from Mad Max: Fury Road, Harkonnen had to look terrifying and real. Head costume design pushed to combine practical effects and makeup, which went really well with Villeneuve's vision for the character. The director had Marlon Brando from The Island of Dr. Moreau in mind. Something flashy and extravagant that pushed the boundaries a little. To bring this vision to life, Love Larson and Eva von Bahr got together with the team to make important decisions, like how big to make the villain in the first place. As their desired design grew, they realized they were going to need some kind of fat suit for this look to work. They had to decide whether to go with a prosthetic-based suit or a makeup-based. And once they made all of the decisions, they had to find an actor who can survive the entire process. Stellan Skarsgård had to endure borderline torture for the role. The designers and writers decided the character had to be naked for some of the scenes for the impact it brings, along with his sheer size and vascular flesh. The prosthetic was built in Sweden and consisted of 7 silicone pieces just for the face, in addition to the traditional bald cap and brow covers. The suit essentially had to be built onto Stellan every time the character was in a scene, and it took a staggering 4 hours for the look to be completed. And that's when there's 5 people working on the character. But the more fear-inducing nude scenes for the Baron took an additional 6 hours to put together because of the detailing on the body. Actors have to sit still in a chair for half a day as more and more weight is added onto their bodies, sweating under pounds of makeup and prosthetics. They then have to deliver their lines to perfection, because if they can't pull it off that day, they have to go through the whole process again. It's a good thing Stella's a veteran of detailed makeup projects, and said he loved the entire process, from the makeup to the design of the suit. and the results are a testament to the passion and attention an entire team put into the Baron. But he's far from the only part of the project that receives such attention. The set design on Dune was taken to an obsessive length. Let's take the city of Arrakeen on planet Arrakis as an example of how the team adapted the architecture, constructing specific structures for different planets. They took influence from World War II bunkers, Mesopotamian zigurats, Egyptian and Aztec pyramids, ancient Amazonian cities, and even Italian designs from the 1960s. The result was angular buildings accounting for the planet's high winds, slits for windows to beat the heat, and thick stone walls to battle the planet's extreme conditions. Department lead Vermette was dead set on making Dune an unprecedented project, often showing scenes to his 16-year-old son. If he recognized influences from other sci-fi movies, his dad would make some changes. Villeneuve didn't want to compromise on authenticity by relying too much on CGI, even for the ornithopters. The helicopter-esque flying machines had to look safe enough to be real, but adapted for the constant 750km/h winds on the planet. They ended up making 2 of the vehicles completely, and only adding the dragonfly wings in post-production. Costumes, makeup, cast, and backdrop all come together to make a movie memorable. But one thing really ties it all together. The Dune soundtrack does justice to the original novel. We're lucky Hans Zimmer is a fan of the Dune franchise, because he turned down the soundtrack for Tenet when he got the call from Denny. The genius behind the Interstellar soundtrack is a master at producing otherworldly sounds, and he created a playlist that transcended any of his previous projects. Hans really threw himself into the project with the intention of departing from the traditional orchestral approach taken by similar movies, with a more electronic sound. Walker mentioned that at times, he saw Zimmer on the piano working through several permutations of the same patterns that would end up in completely unexpected places. Speaking of going to unexpected places, the entire Dune team immersed themselves in the idea of existing 20,000 years into the future, and literally made new instruments. The music having sounds that haven't existed before, and the lyrics being in an alien language, make the soundtrack celestial and fascinating. But you still feel the raw emotions coming through with the masterful orchestral elements. The thing is, the music had to be out of this world because nothing else would have been worthy. And it all came together to make the most beautiful sci-fi epic since Interstellar. It's no surprise that a sequel was almost immediately announced. But we're going to have to wait just a little bit longer. We'll catch Dune in theaters on the 3rd of November, and we'll catch you in our next video.